the past, the present, the future. I present you with my TED Talk. I can't do this. I can't do this formal. This doesn't represent the theme of my genius hour. Look at this. Oh, it's TED. Look, it's TED. No, we're gonna switch it up. Oh, this is better. Now we can get into the TED Talk. Hello everyone and welcome to my Genius Hour project. Behind me, you can see the project. It's an old 1956 Lakefield, Dakota boat that I decided to start restoring to hopefully get it out on the water at some point. Now, for my Genius Hour project, I wanted to see how far I could get with the restoration within the 6 weeks allotted to the project. So, to begin, I want to start with the story of where and when I got this boat. So my uncle called me up one day and said, "John, you've been talking when we've been fishing that you want a boat someday of your own. I think I have something that you might be interested in." So he called me up, I headed up to him, and I checked out this boat that he had, and I saw it as an awesome opportunity to get out of my comfort zone. And what I related this opportunity to was when I, for the first time, got into a roller coaster. I was terrified of roller coasters, but I went on one, and after I went on the roller coaster, the feeling was almost indescribable. It, like this rush, this adrenaline rush of knowing that I overcame something huge, I overcame my fears, it was an amazing feeling. And I saw this boat as another opportunity to chase a feeling like that, to dive into something that I'm uncomfortable with. And so I took this project on, and here we are. So I also want to make it a point, or the reason why I'm doing this project is to inspire anyone that watches this video to get out of their comfort zone. If they have some sort of project or idea that they want to dive into at some point, and they've been wondering if they should or if they shouldn't because they aren't really that experienced yet, I want you to come out thinking that you can, and perhaps you should dive into that project that you've always been wanting to do, because you know what? It provides you with such a rewarding feeling, and you end up learning so much from it. Lastly, I would also like to touch on 3 main pieces of advice that I would like to share with all of you at the end of this video. So, the first piece of advice addresses the importance of research. Now, for my project, I did an extensive amount of research right off the bat to get started. If your approach to a project, in order for you to get fully immersed in it, requires you to get hands-on right away, as an example, go for it. But at some point, you're going to need to dive into some research. And the reason for that is you're going to conduct research so that you're aware of the various techniques that are out there to complete your particular project. You're going to be aware of the various materials out there and why you should use certain materials over others depending on your circumstances. And lastly, it's going to help you predict or help you deal with things that you don't account for when you initially come up with a plan for your project. So at the beginning, you may feel that you've accounted for everything for your project, you're ready to get started, and then at some point throughout the process, you're going to notice that you didn't actually account for something. That's why the research comes in handy, so that you're fully prepared for all of the different things that could happen throughout your project. The second point of advice looks at the importance of taking your time. Now, when you start a project, you're going to initially want, or at least for me, I really wanted to see a lot of progress and a lot of change happen over a very unrealistic short amount of time. And that's obviously what didn't happen here. And what I would like to really emphasize to you is that if you find yourself rushing through things, you're getting a little antsy, you are feeling pressure to get stuff done with your project, step away from it. Don't rush things.
Because when you decide to try and truck through and you force yourself to work on the project when you're not really feeling it, that's only going to lead to mistakes being made. Hopefully, they're reversible, but mistakes being made, money that is going to be wasted, and time that's going to be wasted. And if you take the approach of being able to notice that, you know what, I'm not really feeling it today, or you know what, I feel rushed, I don't feel like I have enough time to do it, step away from it and then come back when you are feeling ready to immerse yourself in that project that you're passionate about. It's going to pay off in the long run, I promise you. Now, the third piece of advice looks at the importance of prioritization. Now, if I weren't to prioritize this boat at any point, it would never get done. I would look at it, I'd say, wow, you know what, it'd be nice to do that one day, and just walk right by it because I didn't make it a priority. With the opportunity of the Genius Hour project, I was able to make a project of mine homework. I was able to make it something that I knew had to get done, right? Because I attached it to school, and then through that I was able to make it a priority. And when I prioritized the work on the boat, I was able to see progress. I was able to see this. So, checking out the blog, if you whoever wants to go, you can see the progress of this series of laminations that I made. And you can also see how it's being shaped now to fit the boat. And this was all done, and I was able to accomplish this because I prioritized it. And that's the last takeaway I want you all to have, is that when you're diving into a project that you're interested in, that you make it a point to get certain steps done within a certain amount of time. You do have to take into account those days where you're not really feeling up to it, but don't let that feeling of not being up to it lead to you never, experiencing it and never just diving into a passionate project that you're interested in. So, prioritization. Okay, so to end off, just briefly, I want to definitely emphasize that there were several challenges with this project. The main one was putting too high of an expectation on myself. I thought this boat was going to be in the water by the end of the project. It definitely is not going to be there. But after getting over that, putting that high expectation on myself, I realized that with projects like this, it's important to give yourself a pat on the back for the small accomplishments, because it keeps that fire burning, that passion burning to continue on with the project. If you don't do that, you're just going to, well, previously, uh, before the Genius Hour, I experienced burnout. I was tired of the lack of progress. I put too high of a standard on myself, and I stepped away from the boat for several months. And now I realize that I need to acknowledge myself for the smaller things, and just because it's not in the water doesn't mean that it's not going to get done. It just means it's going to take a little bit of time, and that's okay. So I hope you all have learned something from this TED Talk. I hope you have been following me along this journey. It's going to continue. The final product is going to be this boat in the water. So my last blog post is definitely going to be me on the water. I do plan to continue doing the blog after the Genius Hour project so that I can show myself in the water. But for now, this Genius Hour project has definitely opened my eyes to what is possible if you get out of that comfort zone and you make yourself open to the adventure of being uncomfortable. So thank you very much, everyone, and we'll talk to you soon.